This chapter begins the month of July. Episode 8, The Hookup. Everybody in the neighborhood had a first job story. Some people learned responsibility, some people learned discipline, and some learned that working around the same people you grew up with could turn into a test you didn't know you were taking. My first job started with a conversation my mom had already repeated too many times. "You always outside," she said one evening while folding laundry. "I'm writing," I told her. "You write, but you can write after you make some money." "I'm 15. You old enough to work?" She didn't say it harshly, just tired. The kind of tired that comes from carrying too many responsibilities for too long. And just like that, a week later, I was standing behind a counter at Mr. Patel's market, the corner store at the edge of Terrace Gardens. Mr. Patel believed in two things: working hard and watching everything. "You count money slow," he told me on my first day. "You lose job fast." I nodded. "Yes, sir." The job sounded simple. Ring up snacks, stock shelves, sweep floors, don't let people steal. Easy. At least that's what I thought. The first customer was Dre. Of course it was Dre. He walked into the store smiling like the place belonged to him. "Hey, Charlie." "Man, what? You working here now?" "Yeah." He grabbed chips and a soda, then leaned against the counter like he was visiting family. "So, what's my discount?" "You don't get no discount." He looked offended. "You serious?" "Yes." "But I'm your friend." "That doesn't mean you get free chips." He stared at me for a moment like I had personally betrayed him, then tossed the money on the counter. "Man, that's crazy." But the look on his face told me something. This wasn't the last conversation like that I was going to have. By the end of the first day, half the neighborhood knew I worked there, which meant half the neighborhood walked into the store expecting something. "Charlie, let me get a juice." "Charlie, you ain't got to charge me for that candy." "Charlie, I'll pay you tomorrow." Peanut walked in like he was entering his aunt's kitchen. "Man, let me get 2 honey buns." "You got money?" "No." "Then put them back." He leaned closer. "Man, you acting brand new." I sighed. This is my job. JoJo came in later looking around the store slowly. "You could run a side business out of this place." "I'm not running anything." "You should think bigger." I didn't want to think bigger. I just wanted to keep this job. But pressure in neighborhoods like ours didn't come loud. It came quietly. Little comments, little expectations, little moments that made you feel like you were choosing sides because nobody wanted to be the person who suddenly act different. Even Nardo came in one afternoon with an idea. "Charlie," he whispered like he was sharing a business secret. "You charge me for 1 soda, but give me 3. "That's stealing." Nardo shook his head. "No, that's partnership." Mr. Patel watched everything from behind the back counter. He rarely spoke, but his eyes missed nothing. This store was like his kingdom, and every candy bar had a place in mental inventory. The moment everything started going wrong happened Friday. The store was packed, kids coming in after basketball games, people buying drinks, music blasting outside. The air felt hot and loud. Dre walked in with Peanut and JoJo. "Charlie," Dre whispered, "we thirsty." "Man, then buy something." JoJo leaned towards the counter. "Just bring 1 drink and give us the other 2. I stared at him. "Man, you serious?" Dre smiled. "Come on, you work in here. Help your people." That sentence sat heavy in the air. Help your people. In neighborhoods like ours, those words meant something. Nobody wanted to look like they switched sides. Nobody wanted to look like they thought they were better than the people they grew up with. I glanced around the store. Mr. Patel was in the back stocking shelves and boxes. Nobody else seemed to be paying attention. For a moment, I heard 2 voices in my head. One telling me, "This is wrong." The other telling me, "It wasn't that serious." So I rang up 1 drink, and I slid the other 2 across the counter quietly. Dre grinned. "See? Now you thinking like family." They walked out laughing, and for a moment, I felt like I had done the right thing, like I had protected my place in the neighborhood. That feeling lasted about 2 minutes. Because once one person gets a hookup, everybody hear about it. By the end of the day, people were coming and expecting the same treatment. Charlie, give me free drinks. Charlie, hook Peanut up yesterday. Charlie, look out for us. Every time someone asks, my stomach tightened. And every time I said yes, the knot inside my chest got worse. Because deep down, I knew something. I knew this wasn't right. I just didn't want to be the bad guy. The next afternoon, Mr. Patel called me into the back. He didn't look angry. That made it worse. He held up a small notebook. I count inventory every day, he said calmly. I stayed quiet. Candy bars missing? Pause. Sodas missing? Pause. Chips missing? My chest tightened. You know why? I looked down. Yes, sir. He sighed softly. You're a good kid, but this is business. He opened the register, counted the money, closed it again, then looked at me. You fired. Just like that. No yelling, no lecture, just over. Walking back through Terrace Gardens felt different. Like the buildings were watching me. Trey saw me first. Hey, you all early. Man, I got fired. For what? For helping my people. Trey laughed. Man, you serious? Jojo shook his head. That's why you don't work for other people. You gotta run your own business. I kept walking because suddenly something made sense. Sometimes the people around you don't realize they're putting you in the wrong direction. Not because they're bad people, but because everybody is surviving the only way they know how. When I got home, my mother was sitting at the table. You get paid today? She asked. I hesitated. No. Her eyebrows lifted. Well, why not? I sat down slowly. I got fired. She sighed. What happened? I gave stuff away. She shook her head. Charlie. I stared at the table. Man, I was trying to help. Her voice softened. I know. But helping people the wrong way can cost you everything. That lesson hurt worse than losing a job. Later that night, I sat by the window again with my notebook. The courtyard lights buzzed outside. Dre and Peanut was still arguing about basketball like nothing had happened. Terrace Gardens kept moving, but my mind stayed stuck on one thought. And I started writing. In my journal, I wrote, sometimes doing the wrong thing doesn't feel wrong at first. Sometimes it feels like loyalty. But God doesn't measure things the way the people do. Maybe the real test isn't whether people like your choices. Maybe the real test is whether your choices match who you're supposed to be. And sometimes the hardest word to say is no. Episode 8, the Hookup.